about Hinduism, they have billions perhaps of gods. Their temples, if you've ever seen them, just covered with these idols. Wherever you see idolatry, you always see perversion. Just look at the Catholic Church. It just keeps going on. And then you also see this spirit of confusion. The way, are you healed? You know, it's not yes and some no, and who knows, but anyway, it's but a great people, wonderful people, open to the gospel. We had numbers and numbers of missionaries. Pray for that. Genesis chapter 13. I want to minister this morning. We have titles, some have, this generation. The Age of Conflict. Another statement, turmoil in the 20th century. Now, we know there's always been conflict. We could go back to Cain and Abel. But today there seems to be an acceleration, especially in my lifetime. Inflamed emotions, racial clash, the strife of climbing to the top. We live in an hour of gender hostility, spousal abuse, political conflict. I've never even heard the term until a few years ago, road rage. And 2 Timothy 3:1 says, in the last days perilous times will come, and one of the marks of that will be without self-control, without restraint, out of control. Jesus says in Matthew 24:12, in the last days, that lawlessness will abound. All of these speak of a climate that contributes to conflict. It's an absence of restraint. It's people out of control, over the edge. I want to minister age of conflict. Genesis 13, verse 5, ministered out of this text Wednesday night. I want to look there again. Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. Now the land was not able to support them, that they might dwell together. For their possessions were so great they could not dwell together, and there was strife or conflict between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock, the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. Interesting little nugget dropped in here. The Canaanites and the Perizzites then dwelt in the land. So Abram said to Lot, please let there be no conflict or strife between you and me, between my herdsmen and your herdsmen. We are brethren. Is not the whole land before you? Please separate from me. If you take the left, I'll go to the right. If you go to the right, then I'll go to the left. Lot lifted up his eyes, saw all the plain of Jordan. It was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. It was like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as you go toward Zoar. Then Lot chose for himself all the plain of Jordan. Lot journeyed east, and they separated from each other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan. Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, pitched his tent even as far as Sodom. But the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord. Age of conflict. God, I pray this morning, God, give revelation and insight. The hour in which we live, the climate, the hostility that seeps in and creeps in seemingly to every crevice of our culture. God, I pray, save the lost. God, give us unity and harmony, peace and dominion by the grace of God. I pray in Jesus' name, amen. I want to look at the conflict here. And this is a classic case of conflict. What is conflict? It's a serious disagreement. It's an argument, it's a quarrel, it's the clash many times of interests or opinions or principles. And out of conflict, now there's this friction. friction. This begins to spill out, this irritation. Where once there was unity and goodwill, the Bible talks about commonwealth. Now there's friction, there's disagreement, there's argument. And so, in conflict, our emotions are enlisted. Many times, drama is associated with conflict. And always, there's things when there's conflict, emotions are inflamed, and then there's words that are spoken that fuel the conflict. This is the nature of conflict. Unless it's resolved, this could be in a family, it could be in a church, it could be on a job site, it could be on a sports team, it could be political, nation, etc., etc., etc. And so, but it begins to escalate, boils over, and it reaches a threshold and explodes. In our text, we reach this point. Abraham says, something has to be done. Verse 6, they could not dwell together, for their possessions were so great. There was strife between the herdsmen of Abraham and the herdsmen of Lot. So Abraham said to Lot, now he's looking for a solution to resolve this conflict, unless it escalates into bloodshed. He said, please let there be no strife between you and me. And then he underlines this. He said, this shouldn't be because we are brethren. Lot, this is getting out of hand. We need to find some kind of solution or compromise, especially we're kinfolk. So what caused the conflict? It's interesting there was no conflict when the herds were small, when Lot needed Abraham. The Bible exposes and uses the word strife, and strife and conflict many times is rooted in jealousy and envy. I quoted these verses Wednesday night, James 3:14. But if you have bitter envy and self-seeking, or strife is in your heart. 3:16, where envy and self-seeking, strife exists. Romans 13:13, let us walk properly as in the day, not in rivalry, not in strife and envy. And so here's something that as they were blessed is interesting. As their herds multiplied, it created a friction that is now boiling into conflict. Many times people have no conflict when there's nothing to conflict over. But when people begin to acquire or begin to find a position or a place, even in the kingdom of God, envy, strife, and division among you, Paul said. And I'm not sure of all the issues in this text. I'm not sure if there's not enough grazing land, not enough water, but envy mixes in somewhere. You are getting what belongs to me. And words were spoken, and this thing began to boil. There's always people somewhere in the midst of conflict. Relationships. We have a tendency when we're in conflict to enlist people to our side of the argument or the disagreement. In this case, it was the herdsmen of Lot and Abraham. In other words, Abraham and Lot were not immediately in conflict, evidently. Something had triggered out in the plains. You understand, they had massive herds. Just like with Joseph's brothers, they'd be way off, searching for grass. Joseph went looking for them. The whole story that's happened here. And we know how exaggerated it was when it got back to Lot and Abraham. But the nature of conflict, we always enlist those closest to us or those who have some skin in the game. How many parents are sucked in to their child's conflict? How many pastors? I could go on down the list. Let me ask you a question. And this is the question. Are you in conflict with someone? And you have to ask yourself, why is it? What are we in conflict over? Have we been enlisted and drawn into someone else's conflict? Is it worth it? We can even be in conflict within. I've counseled people who are in a conflict with God and His will. There's this friction, this turmoil of emotion and mind and spirit. I've counseled marriages many times that were in conflict, and they invariably will enlist their parents or siblings or friends in and out of the house of God. And we have to realize some people love to feed and fuel conflict. It's like in Proverbs 6:19, God said, there's 6 things I hate. Lo, 7 I hate. And one of those things God says I hate is one who sows discord among the brothers. Or this is one who feeds conflict, disagreement, this shifting, this division. Proverbs 26:20. Where there is no wood, the fire goes out. Where there is no talebearer or whisper or gossip or strife ceases, conflict ceases. So the nature of the demonic, you have to understand, when you get crossways with someone, the demonic invariably will inflame people or enlist people to inflame your division or your conflict. You want to be careful. You're not one of those people. God says, I hate those kind of people. You don't want God to hate you. There may be some people in life that don't like you, but the last thing you want is God to hate you. But the key word in our text, when it comes to the conflict, is we are brethren. We are brethren, verse 8. The Hebrew, we're family. We're the family of God here this morning. We're kinfolk. In other words, we have relationship. It's not like we're in conflict with someone you don't know or have never had any kind of relationship with. We're in conflict, and we have I think they came out of the the Chaldees together. They've been years together. They started off together. Now, decades have passed. We've been through battles. We've been through chapters of life together. We were born of the same household. Lot is his nephew. You're many times born of the household of faith. Same fellowship, same church. Right in the middle of this text, there was conflict between the herdsmen. And then this statement drops right in the middle. Seems to have no place here. What in the world does this have to do with anything? Verse 7, the Canaanites and the Perizzites dwelt in the land. Now these are heathen. These are ungodly. These are, we call them today, unsaved. These people, they're not of the seed of Abraham. God is saying, listen, when you have conflict among yourself, it gives an advantage to the enemies of God. It's a horrible testimony. It gives these Perizzites and these Amorites, these backsliders, these rebellions, it gives them an excuse for their position, their sin, and their backslide. The truth is, though, you'll never escape conflict, especially if you're going to enter any kind of arena of leadership. Conflict is a part of it. How many of you ever had conflict? How many have siblings? How many of you ever had conflict before either one of you could walk? You were into it over something. So it's a part of life. And we'll never reach the regions of beyond without conflict. Ask the Apostle Paul. 2 Corinthians 4:8, pressed but not crushed, persecuted but not forsaken, struck down but not destroyed. All of those came from people. But in conflict, the decision. In other words, you need to grasp this. The issue is not just the conflict, but it's the decisions that you make out of the conflict. Is this hell's real agenda? Is this hell's real strategy to get you into some kind of conflict that destabilizes your ability to make the right decision in God? Think about that. So the demonic functions by deception. The strength of the deception. The serpent Eve said, beguiled me. And then I made a decision. Paul talks about the demonic. I was not ignorant of the wiles or the deception of the devil. In other words, the deception many times is not actually what you're experiencing or going through, but it's a destabilizing that the decision you make out of that conflict, that's where the real advantage to the demonic. That how many people, I wonder, out of conflict, did something stupid? How many? Anybody here married before you were saved? Connie and I. Folks have been saved a long time. And I'm telling you, we get in a fight, and it was an excuse to do something stupid. Come out of here! Out! Gone, finished, over. Out of the conflict, you made a decision. Because conflict has this ability, if you're not careful, your flesh is loose in conflict. Emotions are inflamed. Self-interest is engaged, exalted, and kicks in. Self-interest is enthroned. And now your mind, there's these doors open to the carnal. You have to make a decision. You have to make a decision when all of this is activated and loose and gained a voice in your head. In conflict, many times you're hurt. You're disappointed. I was misunderstood. I feel rejected. I feel violated. I wonder what went through Lot's head out of this conflict. For the Bible says he chose. Abraham gives him the privilege. Lot, it's your call. Abraham was the elder, the senior. He did not have to do this. Verse 9. He says, is not the whole land before you, Lot? Please separate from me. If you take the left, I'll take the right. So here's Lot, out of this emotional upheaval conflict, he has to make a decision, and this decision is a decision in a lifetime. Not every decision in life is not like that. Lot, it's your call. You're here this morning, you're in marriage conflict, church conflict, people conflict, and you make a decision. I wonder how many bad decisions are made in this moment. Epidemic. 1100, Pastor Mitchell made this quote Friday night. 1100 pastors leaving the ministry. This staggering number includes some of the brightest, the most inspiring pastors in the country. And you read some of these texts, they left quit the ministry out of conflict. Conflict within their own family, conflict with other pastors, conflict with members, conflict, betrayals. I wonder how many seeds of rebellion are sown in conflict. Let me ask you just a thought. I wonder if Adam and Eve were having a riff in their marriage when the temptation came. I wonder if it may cross their mind, here's Satan offering this to me. I'll show him. The reason I say it sounds like there's a little conflict later when God says, Adam, where's Eve? What happened? What's going on here? He said, the woman you gave me. Well, where'd that come from? She took and ate and gave it to me and I ate. There had to be some background. You don't just jump that out. I wonder if there had been some marital conflict. Who does he think he is? Tell me I can tell. Remember, God told him, he didn't tell Eve. God told him, listen, all the trees you can adopt, and he would have had to communicate that to her. Listen, honey, this one's forbidden. Don't touch this one. It's bad. I'll show you. I can touch any tree I want to. And right there at the right time, at the very exact moment, Satan plays his card. Out of conflict. This couple I mentioned years ago, dear friends of ours, hadn't seen them in 30 years. And they're weeping. Connie and I saw them a month ago or so. And instrumental in our even maintaining being saved. And I'll never forget his wife's weeping. And they made a decision out of conflict. There's other dynamics involved. This would have been like 1976 or something. It was going to come here, went a different direction. But there was conflict between this wife and the pastor's wife, this woman's daughter, the pastor's daughter. And they're weeping, and they made this statement. I don't think I'll ever forget it. It said, Joe, we wished 1,000 times we'd have went to Chandler. Out of that conflict, life, decisions are made. My point is beware of decisions when you're in the throes and the aftermarket of conflict. Because too many times you're dragging lots of baggage with you at that point. Lot makes a decision. I'm wondering, what's driving this decision? Let me ask you, what drives your decisions? The Bible says in verse 11, Lot chose for himself the plain of Jordan. Lot lifted his eyes, verse 10, and saw the plain of Jordan was well watered. What do you see when you're fresh out of conflict? What do you see? Do you see God? Do you see destiny? Do you see fruitfulness? Do you see peace? Do you see dominion? Do you see opportunity? This man saw with the natural eyes. The plain, he has flocks and herds. Remember, here is the key to his future wealth and security. Fertile Jordan, like the Garden of Eden, like by the Nile River of Egypt. And he makes a choice. I wonder if he thought, Abraham's been ripping me off for years. Now it's my time. I better take care of myself. Nobody else will. What an opportunity. And the material world, and no doubt security, is driving his decision. Does conflict become our excuse to become carnal? Our excuse to compromise? Because the Bible said it was well watered, but don't forget it says But Sodom and Gomorrah, this wicked cities, were right there. And eventually it says, he pitched his tent even as far as Sodom. Verse 13, but the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord. I know Sodom's there. But if you know what we went through, if you knew the conflict, you can't believe the conflict. How it was treated. What was said. Hey, I'm not going to live in Sodom. Never happened. I'm better than that. Many times the decision we make out of conflict fuels degrees of decisions that become a disaster. Out of the conflict, this man makes a decision. And in my mind, it's one of the most tragic ending disasters of all humanity. His entire family is going to pay the price. His family, some of them, his son-in-laws, daughters, maybe some grandchildren, died in Sodom. His wife Lot looked back. Be careful that in conflict you don't take your family someplace where you survive, but they don't. I want to close with a thought. Rescued, but not returned. It's interesting that here's Lot in Chedorlaomer, or in Sodom and Gomorrah, and Chedorlaomer is a king of Edom. Tidal, king of nations. Chedorlaomer in the Hebrew, the collector. These kings came, they overran Sodom and Gomorrah, Genesis 14, 11, and 12. They took all the goods, and listen, they took Lot, Abraham's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, his goods, and departed. Bad decisions had consequences. Bad decisions position us where we're defenseless. This man makes a decision in the natural, seems very appropriate, very wise, but now he's defenseless. Everything he has is taken. Bad decisions make you vulnerable in the spiritual arena of life. When the collector, the demonic, comes. What's interesting, verse 14 of chapter 14, when Abram heard this, that his brother was taken captive, he armed 318 trained servants who were born on his own house and went in pursuit as far as Dan. Verse 16, he brought back all the goods. He also brought back his brother Lot, his good, as well as the women and children. Could these 318 men been the very ones they had conflict with? Most likely. In other words, these 318 raised in his house would have been the herdsmen, the shepherds. It's interesting that 300 conquered 5 kings. Let me tell you, the mark of ministry is when you are able to rescue people you've had conflict with. That you would be willing to risk your life. Abraham's risking his life. I wonder how many, when they heard, oh, hear about Lot? Shh, they got him. I'm not surprised. Got what he deserved. He deserves it. Taken captive, taken slavery. Hey, Lot, how's that feel? Possibly one of the most difficult things in life is to have a heart for people you've had conflict with. In the New Testament, there's an interesting story about Paul and Barnabas. And Barnabas had a nephew named John Mark. And Paul got upset with Mark. And basically said, listen, Barnabas, this guy's not going on a missionary journey with us. I don't care what you say. He's not going. And there was a conflict between them. It was so strong, Barnabas took Mark and they went on their way. Different directions. But watch later in life. Paul, 2 Timothy 4:11, only Luke is with me. Get Mark and bring him with you, for he is profitable to me for the ministry. Think of this, Acts 15:38, Paul insisted, we're not taking him with us. Verse 39 of Acts 15, the contention became very sharp, that they parted from one another. So Barnabas took Mark and saved the disciples. Now here's a conflict. But later you see Paul. He said, hey, Mark wrote the book of Mark. And so Paul later reaches and says, you know what? Mark would like, bring Mark back to me. Bring Mark back to me. I made a mistake there. Or maybe Mark grew up. Maybe Mark changed. People can change. Matured. It's like Paul is reaching out to the very one that created a major rift between him and Barnabas. Abraham risked his life, his men's life, to rescue. There's always risk in rescue. It's one of the great tools of faith. Again, God says, I'm going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham again, he rescues him with his prayer. He begins to intercede. Do you pray for people you've had conflict with? We're years down the road now. Lot's in trouble again. And you know, there's no record that after that first rescue, Lot said, you know what, Abraham? Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you saved my family, saved my goods, you saved my life, you saved me probably from slavery. No record, Abraham, anything I can do for you? Sorry, listen, forgive me. No record, any of that. And yet here Abraham is again. God, if there be 50, would you spare the city? If there be 40, 30, 20, 10, would you spare the city? And Abraham's prayer rescued someone he had conflict. Do you pray for people you've had conflict with? Let me shift, change feet here for a moment. There's a problem if you're always having to be rescued. You know the problem with that? You lose a little more every time. The first rescue, Lot got everything back. But Sodom, he did not get everything. As I mentioned, he lost his wife, he lost loved ones, children, all of his wealth. Say, why do you say that? Because they're dragging him out by his hands. Beware of having to be rescued too often because it becomes harder and harder. You know the story. The angels come and say, get your family, tell your family. God's going to destroy us. Get out of here, get out of here. And the Bible said he tarried. Lingered. Genesis 19:6. While he lingered, the men took hold of his hands. And when they had brought them outside, he said, escape, escape, run for your life. The problem with having to be rescued, it becomes more difficult. And if you're not careful, you lose a little more each time. What's interesting to me is what Lot prays right here. Lot said, please, 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 no, no, my lords. Genesis 19, verse 20. Lord said, I want you to go to the mountains. He said, no. There's a little city over here. Zor. Let me escape there, and my soul shall live. Why didn't he pray? God, I want to go home. God, is it possible I go back to Abraham? He has no flocks now. There's not going to be any conflict, contention. I mean, he's coming out probably with what's on his back. Why didn't he pray? You know what, God? I just want to go home. I want to go back to Abraham. I want to make it right with Abraham. Let me return where I was blessed. Let me return to the place of peace. Maybe that's you this morning. God's saying, listen, I just want you to return to the house of God. Prodigal son. I want you to return to the ministry, the will of God. This word Zor, where he has to escape to, is it's an insignificant place. It's a place of no influence, no impact. I wonder how many, when they're rescued, the tragedy is they accept an insignificant place. When at their fingertips, perhaps, destiny, Abraham, future. And I'll let you do your own study of Lot and what happened to his life. But I want to give a little footnote here. When you have a heart to rescue people, listen to me carefully. Listen to what I'm saying. When you have a heart to rescue people who are in a mess, this gives you favor with God. There's something when you want to rescue and help, and you want to be involved, and you want to extend a hand of friendship and grace and forgiveness and mercy. When you want to do that to people, especially people maybe that's hurt you or caused you conflict, there's something in the heart of God that's moved by that, because that's God's heart. God reached out to you and I when we were a mess. Jesus died when we were yet sinners. It was interesting, after Abraham was involved in rescuing Lot, God came to Abraham with a word. You want a word from God? The Bible says in Genesis 15:1, after these things, the word of the Lord came to Abraham. I am your shield and your exceeding great reward. Verse 4, behold, the word of the Lord came to him, saying, look now toward heaven, count the stars. Verse 18, to your descendants I have given this land, from the river of Egypt to the river Euphrates. Think of all that God put in Abraham's possession after these things. God said, I'll defend you. You defended him, I'll defend you. I'll be your shield, and I'll be a great reward. I'm going to multiply back to you. Count the stars. You want fruitfulness? You want descendants in the earth? Count the stars. And then he says, I'm going to give you the land. I'm going to give you dominion in the earth. You know what's so profound? He called Abraham his friend. Friend of God. You want to be a friend of God? Oh, this is my friend. I can't keep anything from him. It's my friend. I make a closing statement. How you process conflict qualifies or disqualifies your future relationship and what God can trust you with down the road. How you process it. Conflict is unavoidable. If you're going to live, if you're going to do anything in life other than be a hermit, you're going to have some conflict. Some seasons more, some more sharp, some more brutal, some greater in intensity, but how you process that, I believe, qualifies or disqualifies what God can trust you with, what He can deposit in your life. The age of conflict is one of the titles they've given to the generation sitting here this morning. I ask you to bow your head with me. Thank you for your attention.